got to roll the debt. And they can't at high levels because it just means the compounding of debt. And if Elon is serious about trying to get the payments down, well, debt's the biggest one. It's now bigger than the military. So they've got to do that. The other side of the equation is we all know China's in trouble right now. Its economy's a mess. Bond yields keep falling. And really why China's in a problem is it can't stimulate without losing its currency. And it doesn't want to do that. So what it needs desperately is the US to inject liquidity so it too can inject liquidity. It needs a weaker dollar. Everybody needs a weaker dollar.
In a recent interview with Scott Melker on The Wolf of All Streets, Raoul dives into Bitcoin's role in the evolving financial landscape. He discusses liquidity cycles, AI's impact on industries, and predictions for Bitcoin's adoption by governments and corporations. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Now, last time Trump got in, one of the first things he said is, we want a weaker dollar. If you think about what they want to do, they want to export US goods. They want a weaker dollar. They just want a weaker dollar. And they're going to have to do that. Yeah, I mean, they want the weaker dollar. The stronger dollar is something nobody wants. But let's say it happens. Well, what is Scott Bessent likely to do? He's likely to inject more liquidity. Somehow, some way. Because what they don't want is to... I mean, this administration, above all others, seems to be really focused on the midterm. They've already raised a ton of money, and they're like, if we need to get anything done, we need 4 years. If not, it's a shit show. Can we have the Senate, the House, everybody for 4 years, then we can get stuff done. And that's, I think, what all of their sort of heavy level advisors are, is like, this is the important thing. So the last thing they want is to fuck up the economy in the meantime. Nobody wants that. They want a nice, strong economy without too much inflation, without, but they want a decent picture. So I think they're going to do anything they can to do that. This is not a normal election. This is not a Republican versus Democrat election. It was fought on that, but what it was a coup by the technologists. They won the entire government. Whether it's JD Vance, to Vivek, to clearly Elon, to David Sachs, who was in the background doing all of this, to Mark Andreessen, to Brian Armstrong, they orchestrated this. It is their coup. So what we put in is not an old Republican administration of the past. We've put in the technologists who said, we're going to run the show now. And Trump gets the smartest people in the world to do this for him, and he gets to walk away with a good legacy because he can't be voted in again. So this is why he's very compliant with all of these guys as well. I mean, so that is the biggest change I think we have seen in an election cycle for a very long time. It's the kind of complete collapse of the political system as we knew it. And on a more serious note, well, that's a serious note too, but on a serious note, the next election and the elections afterwards are not going to be fought over capital and labor. So all political systems are capital versus labor. And it's the balance of power between the two that defines politics. Where we're going, there ain't no labor. So the next election will be fought over, it's going to be like the humanist transhumanists. It's like pro-tech, anti-tech. And it's only going to get worse. And then there'll be parties trying to give AI rights. There's all sorts. But this capital labor thing, I think that was the last election that it's ever going to be the major thing, because it won't be labor. So yes, there'll be protective versus free market, all sorts of things that we know, but the change in how we think about things is going to be massive. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the average person has realized what they voted in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very pro-technology because it's the only way of driving up GDP growth and changing everybody's future. But what a world. I mean, the Europeans are doing the exact opposite. They're busy saying you can't use video AI models, you can't do this, you can't do that. And the US is about to go full acceleration, hit the nuclear button, fuck it, let's do it. I don't know. I just know it's going to be a wild ride. For the next 4 to 8 years, it's going to be crazy.
Raoul just highlighted the impact of liquidity cycles on crypto. Now let's hear his insights on AI advancing Bitcoin, governments adopting it as a reserve asset, and tokenization creating accessible financial systems. Stay tuned.
That's always the first phase of it, don't forget. I mean, if you go back to 2020, it was not until like November that ETH started really performing. It was all Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin dominance topped almost at the right moment. Bitcoin took off. Now we haven't got to, I think my next phraseology is going to be the banana singularity. That's when everything goes bananas. But what we're seeing is, this is a tricky market like this, because what you're getting is a whack-a-mole, which is never the thing that you're owning. It's what your friend owns, not what you own. And then you get like a week in the sun where everything goes up and then it goes off again. So we're not at the banana zone singularity point yet. That will come as well. That's probably, sometime Feb, March, when it all gets silly. And then, but we did see the first signs of it. All of the, as they were called, Dino coins, all of the longer standing crypto, all had face ripping rallies, which was good for them. Then we had the AI ones, and it's been very sporadic, as you say. But overall, the whole space is moving higher, but it just is all happening in sporadic periods, and then it pauses, and it's been pausing for a bit now. Like Solana's done nothing for a while, and then you look back and it's done another 50%, and it's an interesting market. Normally, what happens at this phase is we should rally into year end pretty strongly in everything. But then the real game gets played in first quarter. Look, there's always something to worry about. But generally speaking, let's look at the last Trump administration. So from September to the end of the year, the dollar rallied. September, the end of the year, rates went up. Same narrative. It was all about tariffs and, what's he going to do and how's it going to play out. Almost exactly as the year turned, the dollar went lower and rates went lower. So I've been producing a chart showing that global liquidity tightened and it has a 10-week lead time. And that should mean that at the end of the year, we get a correction. Now, that would not be surprising. Let's say Bitcoin gets to 120, it corrects back down to 100. I mean, that's just normal course of business. But Twitter being Twitter is losing its mind over this correction. I get messages, is this the one? I'm like, calm down. You should be expecting at least another 4 or 5 of these over the course of the next year. They're just regular, but for some reason that people are losing their minds. But once that's out of the way, usually it should be good. Now, liquidity needs to come back, so we need to see the dollar weaken. We need to see rates come down somewhat. Those are key things for us. I don't see any reason why not. And then there's a bunch of technical stuff like the draining of the Treasury General account over the period for the budget negotiations and stuff like that. And normally that's a big injection of liquidity. And the Fed are doing other rinky-dink stuff, like they're going to cut interest rates on the reverse repo, which basically is trying to force money out of money market funds and into the private sector.
Watch the full interview via the link in the description. Raoul Pal discusses how liquidity cycles could drive Bitcoin's next rally, tokenization's potential to reshape industries, and Bitcoin's adoption by global institutions. What are your thoughts? Will governments adopt Bitcoin as a reserve asset? How will tokenization impact everyday crypto users? Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on decentralized technologies.